So, chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, we are on the first topic 1 to 10, verses 1 to 10, which talks about the self as the eternal teacher. So, the first thing to understand here is no one person is the founder of Vedanta. It's not possible. It's like saying one person founded science. It is not possible, right? So, what he's trying to say is these are eternal principles. And in various periods, much before Krishna's time, there has been a tradition coming down. It's called the Guru Shishya Parampara, the preceptor disciple lineage, teaching this knowledge. Those who have realized the self, they have understood the same consciousness, which is the self, the divinity. Even a person today who realizes the self understands the same consciousness, because that principle is the same in the past, present, future. It is the absolute reality. So, in that sense, that same consciousness has been teaching us from the beginning. That's what Krishna is telling Arjuna. I taught this knowledge to the sun taught it to the first human. That's what it means. It's symbolic of that tradition. And he said in the sixth verse, which we completed last time, that from that consciousness out of ignorance, so all of us are the same consciousness. This is the reality. That's what you are. Aham Brahmasmi. I am that self. But out of ignorance, you have slipped into this illusion, Maya, this delusion that you and this world are real, when it is actually just an figment of your imagination, because the only thing that's real is the pure consciousness. So our goal in life is to realize that truth. You understand? This is the whole knowledge of the Gita, the Upanishads, everything. In fact, we studied you remember when we completed the third chapter, we chanted the ending invocation, right? So what does that invocation say? In the Upanishads of the glorious Bhagavad Gita, right? So it's a tradition coming down from the Upanishads. In fact, he's calling the Gita an Upanishad. Upanishad only means a spiritual teaching. That's what it actually means. Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. The science, Brahma Vidya is the science, the knowledge of the self, the scripture of yoga, of uniting with the self. So, this is the tradition. And the goal of life is to get back to that tradition, get back to that self. That's the tradition. And India was built on that tradition. The whole culture was built around it those days to help the humans get back to the self. Everything was directed towards that. There was no other interest. That's why you don't find big buildings that are surviving till today, palaces, and there nobody was interested. The whole interest was education, knowledge, and culture. They didn't even keep historical records. They only kept the only thing that was transmitted was Vedanta, the Vedas. The only thing worth transmitting to the next generation. Everything else was worthless. Literally, that was the reason why nothing else was important. Because you see other cultures with history and all that survived. Buildings, history, and who was there, who was not. India, being the oldest, nothing survives. Only thing that survived was the knowledge. So, in the 7th verse again, he shifts to the dual tongue of the Gita. I told you, the Gita, by the time of the Gita, people were not able to relate to the self as a formless reality. So they had to put a living person who was self-realized, like Krishna, and he was deified, because people need a person to relate to. When you're emotional, you can't relate to God as a formless, all-pervading reality, which people in earlier generations could. So that's why the Gita speaks a dual tongue, and that's why it's the most popular textbook, because people can relate to that. Oh, Krishna, he taught us. So, because most people are emotional, they're not able to think. It's not their fault. So the sages understood this. So these verses are meant for that. But even that has an intellectual reason to it, which I'll explain. So this is one of the most famous verses. Everybody needs that. What is that? That reassurance. God will come and save us. Now you must understand what it means. 7.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
O Bharata, wherever there is indeed a decline of dharma, righteousness, and the rise of adharma, unrighteousness, then I manifest myself. So, as I said, the devotional people, which are the vast majority, need a reassurance that somebody will come and help them. So they listen to this and they are satisfied. But intellectually, you understand the world is nothing but an expression of cause and effect. So if there's unrighteousness, those forces take over. If there's righteousness, that force takes over. Which is more powerful? That's about it. And this constant struggle has been going on ever since humanity began. And right now, unrighteousness is vastly ascendant. Selfishness, in other words. And as long as most people are selfish, the world will suffer. Simple, straightforward. So, intellectually, what it means is when the selfishness, unrighteousness goes to a point, a high point, which is now, people obviously become weary. They become tired of their material, sensual living because it does not give happiness. It's as simple as that. Selfish, self centered living makes you miserable. It's a question of time. So, in this kind of environment, if there is a person who is spiritually evolved, obviously they become much more noticeable. People are drawn to them. That's what it means. But see, you must compare it to the time of Satya Yuga, the ancient Vedic time, when the whole society was built for self realization and there were so many sages. So there was no big deal if there was an enlightened soul. You understand? So this was not necessary to write those days when there is a decline of unrighteousness. There was no unrighteousness, or very little. There has to be, but it was manageable. And whoever wanted spiritual education, it was available. There were so many shakhas. So many shakhas mean schools run by realized souls. That was the golden age. So society was supremely on track. And that's why he uses the word Bharata. India was referred to as those days. India is a name given by foreign invaders. That's not the name. No, why they still have that name? So the Sindhu River, the Greek called it the Indus. In fact, Indus, not even that's what it's called today. It was Sindhu. That was the river. And the Greeks called it Indus. Indos is actually, that was the Greek word. And those east of the Indos were Indians, India. But the original name is Bharata. Bha means light. Rata means reveling. So Bharata was the land where people reveled in the light of consciousness. The older name was Brahmavarta. It became Bharata. Brahmavarta means the land of Brahman. So as the geography expanded, became known as Bharatvarsha. By the time of Arjuna and Krishna, it was Bharata. So he's saying, "Oh Bharata." So he's reminding him, this was the land of righteousness. Now it's become unrighteousness. Therefore, I have to do all this. That's all he's saying. So Krishna spent his life in trying to remove the unrighteousness. That's what realized souls do. That's all they can do. In their life, they can improve the righteous level and decrease the unrighteous level. Nobody can eliminate either or. The world is a pair of opposites. So there has to be selfishness, unselfishness. It's only a proportion which matters. So they call it the 4 yugas, right? You all know that. So in the Upanishads, it's equated to the cow. Cow means sattva. Sattva, cow is symbolic of sattva because a cow gives maximum, takes minimum. You must understand why it's revered also. It's a symbol of service, sacrifice. The bull and the cow both. Bull works in the fields, hot fields, whole day and gets some hay in the evening. Next day again it works. The cow, same thing. It's milk, manure, everything is used. And it gets nothing in return. So that's why it was revered. So when the cow has 4 legs, it is the height of righteousness. Satya, Satya Yuga. Treta, 3. 1 leg is gone. So unrighteousness comes, righteousness reduces, but still maximum. Treta was the time when Rama was there. They're all symbolic, you must understand. Then by the time of Krishna, it became Dwapara, 2. That's why Krishna had to fight. There's quite a bit of unrighteousness. And now is tottering on 1, just about standing also. This is Kali, total unrighteousness. You can see it. If you can't see it, then you're blind. What can I do? Right from the leadership to the common, there's no sense of duty, obligation, righteousness. It's all me and mine. So right now also, you will find a lot of people looking for things, they don't know where to go. They don't understand where the knowledge is. That's the tragedy. That's what we try and do. Try and expose people that, look, this is available. This is there for you. So at least those who want it should be able to have it. So that's what he's trying to say. So what he said in the second, third verse, remember, right? This Guru Shishya Parampara has been broken down. So even by the time of Krishna, the sattvic content had gone down because people were no longer understanding what the Vedas were saying. And Krishna is quite a while ago. At least 500-600 BC was when the Gita was written. So you can imagine. So that's what he continues. So let me do the 8th verse and then we can take up the question, because it's the same concept.
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम् धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
So these two verses again very, very, very well known, because people seek reassurance from these words. Again, if you understand intellectually, the meaning is what is important, what it means. For the protection of the virtuous, paritranaya sadhunam, the destruction of the wicked, vinashaya cha dushkratam, and the establishment of dharma, dharma samsthapanarthaya. Three things. I am born from age to age. So the realized souls, which India has been blessed with many from the beginning, periodic visitations of these masters who realize the self, and then what do? Three things they have to do, which means three things you have to do if you want to get there also. So whatever negative qualities are there in you, you must try and push aside, destroy. Whatever positive qualities are there in you, unselfish qualities, you must try and promote, protect. That is why I've told you a conducive environment is so important for this. You have no idea. Because right now, since the environment is completely selfish, material, sensual, you are not protecting yourself. You hang around with people and environments who promote that. So those tendencies within you get promoted. Attachment, desire, me, mine. Who are you associating with? Fellows who do only this. I have nothing against them, but you're not going to grow. So you got to stay away. That's what it means. Individually. You got to destroy the wicked, means stay away from the negative. And protect the positive means whatever positive qualities you have, even though I know it's a small sapling in the desert, but it's there. Promote it. Be around people who promote it. Be around people who promote higher values, higher thinking, plain living. That's why periodically we have these exercises to get away, right? For this reason, to get away from the negative and surround yourself with something positive. That's why we have the retreats you're having in a couple of weeks here, right? For what? The pain, trust me, to arrange all that. For what? It's for this reason. Just get away so you can think something positively without the influence of those around you. That's all it is. Extremely important. And you come back rejuvenated. That yes, with that better commitment. And that staying away and protecting sets the stage for spiritual growth, for the establishment of dharma. So at a society level, that's what the sages try and do, right? In different ways. It's not fighting. Krishna had to do it through actual fighting. See, my guru did it through knowledge. So he said this knowledge has to be brought out to the world. So, and then created a place where you can get away from the world and study. It's a tremendous impact because the students, including myself, the alumni, all over the world, teaching, expanding in the sense of making sure people have access to this. If I didn't learn, how would you all learn? It's as simple as that, right? Hmm. So those are the efforts. And what is that effort geared towards? Towards making people selfless so that they serve the world. All of you should be of service to others. Hmm. Otherwise, what are you learning this? Already you are a disservice. People who come next to you, they want to run away. So they should want to have you. Then there's this knowledge is going in. So in fact, the Dasera festival, that is this concept is put in the form of a festival. So the first 3 days you worship Kali, who's the Durga, I'm sorry, same thing. Dur, evil, Ga, destroyer, the destroyer of evil, Durga. Nowadays names are Durga, is a promoter. So that is by having the name is not a this thing. I'm just joking. I know a person named. Indian, all the names are spiritual, Christina, but the work is the most unspiritual. If I tell you what all they do, names are all God's names and all. So first 3 days you worship Durga, the destroyer of evil. Next 3 days are worshipping Lakshmi, who's the conveyor of good, prosperity, wealth, goodness, auspiciousness. That is Lakshmi. You're cultivating the positive. And that sets the stage for the final 3 days, which is the worship of Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge. So without removing your negative and promoting your positive, you cannot get to spiritual understanding. Impossible. So in other words, if a grossly selfish person is sitting here, there's no way they can. In fact, they can't sit. Because they're not available for spiritual knowledge. There must be some control over your negativities, sensuality, materiality. That's what it means. And gaining the knowledge, the 10th day, Dasera is the day of the 10th day. Thus means 10, the day of victory, where the demons are burnt, right, in the festival. The effigies of the demons, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, they are burnt, which means self-realization, the victory over your ego and egocentric desires. This is the significance of the festival. Now which festival? 3 days dancing here, the next 3 days dancing in that person's house, third day 3 days dancing there, 10th day full rave party, full dance. This is the significance now. So where it is and how it's celebrated, there's no connection. So that's what it means. So for the devotional, I've told you, Gita has a dual tongue. You will see in the 10th and 11th chapter also. It's fully devotional. Vishwarupa Darshan. But if you understand the philosophy behind it, highly philosophical. Yes, Umesh.
Yeah, Gautamji, verse 7 and 8, as you indicated, are purely for devotional people. But verse 6 is not only for intellectual people, even it's beyond intellect. So how they all mix together like that? And what is the audience here?
See, if I just explained to you, the Gita is a purely intellectual textbook. It's explaining the knowledge of the self. But as I also explained, by the time of the Gita, people had become emotional. The intellect quality had gone down. So they needed to cater to the devotional realm. So periodically they slip in these verses. So the devotional people, they will skip through the first 6 verses. Yes, very good. Krishna is talking. 7 and 8, they will react to. Right? Now if you see 9, and by the time you come to 10, completely gone. It's pure, again back to the knowledge. So the devotional verses are interspersed just to cater to that cadre of people. And to explain to you also, as intellectuals, you cannot neglect the devotional part of it. That is also the subtle meaning, that you must also have that devotion in addition to understanding. That really reinforces your spiritual journey. So it is a all-encompassing text. That's why it's known now by far the most popular text, because it caters to everybody. There's a whole chapter on action which we just did, how to act properly in the world. So all three, action, devotion, and knowledge, are explained in the Gita. All three. You need all three. So if you say you must react to this part of it, yes, what a great tradition. I bow down to those sages. Even if you can't relate to it as a pure devotion, God will come. This knowledge of God has been transmitted. That should inspire. Chitra.
Gautamji, I'm struggling a little bit with Bhakti Yoga and why that is needed, and why should you be partaking in these celebrations of 3 day Saraswati, 3 day, like for people who already know what the action is, what they need to do. You can you not get by without having bhakti?
Yes, you can, of course. You can. See, you're talking about the actions being done. See, it's like a flag is a symbol of the country, right? The flag is not the country. Remember this example when you all of you think of rituals, because it will help clarify. So, what is the flag meant to convey? Your commitment to your country, right? That's why you have the flag hoisting and all, Independence Day. It's a reminder. It's a symbol of the fact that you are supposed to serve your country, right? Now, what your question is, I'm already a patriot. I'm already serving my country. I'm doing whatever I can for my country. Is it okay if I don't attend the Independence Day celebration? Absolutely okay. It's not necessary for you. It's necessary for people who are not doing their obligations. You get it? So what you're talking about is ritual. That is not devotion. Ritual is meant to remind you of your commitment to the self. Devotion is the feeling. You must have that pure feeling that you want to realize the self. Without that, what knowledge you're getting? Knowledge means what? Without that desire to realize the self. So you have to have that. So that feeling he's talking about should come. What an incredible knowledge. What sages who gave that feeling. I must gain that state that they gained. However it manifests. It could manifest as you have 2 eyes to see. From where how did I get this power to see? What is that truth? So that feeling towards that unknown is devotion. Without that, how can you grow? You may have all the knowledge in the world, nothing will happen. So that's what one of the 35 qualities which we're going to do in a couple of weeks is in the Mai Arpita Mano Buddhi. Very important. With mind and intellect dedicated to me. Your mind should have that feeling and the intellect should know what it's feeling. So everywhere he talks of devotion, he puts in intellect. Everywhere he talks of knowledge, he puts in devotion. Because they're both hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. So knowledge without devotion, what are you? Philosophy professor, dime a dozen. In all the colleges they'll be there. They're not philosophers. I have nothing against them. And you have feeling and no understanding, what are you? You're just a fanatic, fundamentalist. Just a feeling, no thinking. In fact, it is this fundamentalism which is destroying the world, religious fanaticism. So or if you're not fanatic, aggressive, and you're superstitious, God will take care of everything. I won't do anything. So it's not going to work. People tell me, why should I gain this knowledge? If he has to give me, he'll give it to me. I said, when you have a disease, why do you go to doctor? If you have to be cured, he'll cure you. Oh, no. Disease, I'll go. This knowledge, I won't go. Selective lunatic. Now, what can you do? If they're talking to me, giving me I'm not saying I am logical, but you don't know what you're talking. I say, when your son is bitten by a mad dog, you say the same thing. Then we'll talk. The son is bitten by a rabid fox outside in the garden. Then say that. If God has to cure him, he'll cure him. Why should I do it? You know what you're talking. Whatever you want to talk. So nobody knows what is devotion. Nobody knows what is knowledge. If you don't have these two, you have nothing. That's all. Yes, Nikhila.
Namaste, Gautamji. I've been listening to a lot of your lectures, but this time I just gathered the courage to stand in the line of fire, I guess.
Line of fire? Okay. You're very courageous. Go ahead.
You have stressed about service a lot, selfless service, and I just had a question about service can be of many ways, like giving your time, energy, money, or skills, and so many other ways.
Yes.
But helping disabled people or really poor may be more meaningful, but probably 80 to 90% of the people only donate money. But doing so, aren't we pushing people towards tamas? Like when you serve people going to the soup kitchen or giving them food stamps and etc.
Yes, therefore, whenever you serve, you must use your intellect that the service is being used productively. You're right. Most people serve, there is first of all a selfish motive. I'm giving a donation because my friend gave a bigger amount, and if I don't give, what will they think of me? It's more for your ego. A lot of people donate, or they want a name, or they want some recognition, or it is just impulsive. I feel good that I donate, so I donate. You don't care what's happening with it. In fact, I know people who donate to charities in India, those Indians living here, they're out of sheer guilt. They're living a prosperous life. People suffering there, now I'm feeling good. Now, what they don't realize is where are you giving? What is happening? In fact, you're enabling the people who created the poverty in the first place. Lining their pockets. So many things like that. I'm not saying all. There's so many genuine causes. But so you have to use your intellect and decide what is necessary. So you see a beggar on the street and because you feel bad, you give. Now that fellow goes and has drugs with it. You don't care. So if you want to help that person, I'm not saying no. You got to put in effort to see what is necessary, what will help, right? So nobody thinks. You're absolutely right. So if you do charity, whether it's your time, effort, money, it definitely has to be given with intellect, not impulsively, not selfishly. You get it? So in the Gita, he talks about it. In the 17th chapter, the beautiful description of true danam, sattvic gifting, right? Datavyam yaditi danam, that gift which is given because it ought to be given. Condition 1. It's not whether you like it or not. It ought to be done. Diyate anupakarine, making sure there's nothing coming back to you. 2. 3. Desha, the right place. Kala, the right time. Patra, to a worthy recipient. Taddanam satvikam smritam. That gift alone is considered sattvika. You understand? So 5 conditions. You meet all 5, then you can give. You should give, but it should be given with the intellect. That's what he talks about. You clear? So it wasn't a line of fire. It was very, very pleasant, I hope. She thought she was going to get poor thing. Don't worry. You can ask whatever you want. It's only certain devils, which I have to. I don't think you're in that category. Don't worry. At least you don't look it yet. Because when these people also started, they were very, very meek and mild. Then the real nature came out much later. Right. He also got courage from you, Nikhila. Fellow not asked for years because he used to get the fire. Now he got that. He's got the courage. Yes, sir.
So I have a question regarding the story you said last week about the Maya.
I gave a story about Maya.
Narada and Vishnu.
Narada, yes. Mm-hmm.
So are we to understand that Maya is the illusion which Narada saw, or was it the power of the illusion which drew Narada away from where he was? Narada was a realized soul, so but I'm saying, is it the desire? I thought the attraction, Maya is all around us. We get affected by Maya depending on our desire and our vasanas. Once you're self-realized, you don't have desire, so you're not affected by Maya.
Right.
So the question is Maya the illusion, or is Maya the power of the illusion which draws you into it?
They're same. Maya, illusion, right? Mm-hmm. The illusion doesn't occur without desires. Desire is the illusion. They are simultaneous. What do you call when both spontaneous? Means together, complementary. So Maya is ignorance. Ignorance of the self manifests as the illusion of the world. And the illusion consists of your desire, the subject, and the world, the object. So it's the same thing. Now, Narada in that story is not enlightened, obviously. In other stories, he is considered an enlightened soul, right? So the stories are depicting certain truths. You can't take one story and say, no, in the other story he was that. So it depends. In this particular Puranic story, he was shown as a disciple. So even though he may have been an enlightened soul, in this story he's not shown that, right? He's for the sake of our education. It's like Vishwamitra is one of the Sapta Rishis. His reputation is consciously sacrificed, and he fell to Menaka. There's no way he would have fallen if he's considered enlightened, right? But it's done to educate us that look, person like that can fall. Where is the chance for you? So be careful. Where your weakness is, don't take chances, right? That's all it is. So the problem with the illusion is that it is so attractive, the world, that it is almost impossible to overcome it.
But that attraction is only to the people who have the desires.
Desire, if you don't have desire, you're enlightened. So what are you saying?
So then
They are anyway free from Maya.
Okay.
People who don't have desire. That is the definition of enlightenment. So it is because of your mind that you are attracted to the world. That is true. But colloquially we say the world is attractive. Obviously it's your mind, right? So a person who has no attraction to tennis, the world championship of tennis will be going on. He has no attraction to go there. Another person sitting in India, I know, he comes here to watch the US Open. From there, he wants to see it live, right? Tennis. Fellow in Queens, next to the tennis, this thing, US Open going on. Traffic, mad fellows coming and watching tennis. Who lives in Queens, next to, what is that place? Flushing Meadow, right? Huh? Been there so many times. And the people who stay there, they have no clue what's going on, right? The mind is not attracted, it's the mind. So the tennis is not the question, it's your mind. That fellow is so attached, from India he comes. He sits in Queens there for a week. So you understand?
So when it says Maya is created of my own power.
No, that is different. Now why you first understand this. Born by my own power means as long as an object exists, there is a potential not to recognize the object as itself. That is its own. That potential is in the object itself, right? Lies in the object. That's what he means, my own Maya. 9. Oh, sorry. Yes, Umesh?
Yeah, Gautamji, I think we are back where we started from.
You are back where you started from. Don't put all of us in your condition.
The discussion
we are all back where you started.
The discussion has gotten where we started from, which is verse 6, and the explanation says the terrestrial world never exists apart from transcendental reality, which means Brahman and Maya is the same.
Yes. See, it's like saying the snake doesn't exist apart from the rope. You are seeing the rope, there's a rope in the garden, you're seeing it as a snake. What you are seeing as snake is nothing but the rope. That's all it's saying. The world doesn't exist apart from the transcendental reality. The world is not separate from God. The world is God. But you are seeing it as different from God. It's like the snake is the rope. But because of your ignorance, you're seeing it differently. Both are true. And why are you seeing the snake? That potential to see the snake exists in the rope itself. As long as the rope exists, there is a potential not to recognize the rope as a rope. In that sense, it is the Maya existing in the rope. So that's all they're trying to say. Both are true. That's the confusion. I appreciate that. It's not easy to understand. But break it down and you'll be able to see the logic clearly. 9.
जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन.
He who knows thus my divine birth and action in true light, having abandoned the body, is not born again. He comes to me, O Arjuna. So here, now again, the devotional and the intellectual, they converge, right? From the previous verses. So he comes back to the knowledge. So divine birth in the sense, any birth, including yours and mine, is divine because you are the divinity now clouded by ignorance. Because the consciousness is your real identity. It is the conditioning of the consciousness which is called birth. So remember this. This is the fundamental theorem. You have to hammer it in your head all the time. If you want it to register, because it's so difficult. So my real nature, don't say real nature of somebody, my real nature. I am that supreme self. That's what you should assert. What is that self? It is absolute happiness, peace, permanence, paripurna, that state of completeness, fullness. I am that. Now, I am ignorant of that. I don't know that state, right? Does any of you know it? We don't know it. We're ignorant of it. And therefore, what happens? Since we are ignorant of that divine state, that complete state, that blissful state, what does that mean? You are in a state of unfulfillment, unhappiness. Opposite, right? Self is true happiness. So we are in a state of unhappiness. Simple. So desires go to the world to try and find happiness. That's what all of us are doing. If you were happy, why would you try and find happiness? Simple. If you're already happy, you won't find happiness. You're trying to find happiness because right now you're unhappy, which is what you don't understand. So, as long as you have desires, you will be born. You need a body to fulfill desires. You see how logical it is. The self, ignorance, desire, action. This is the cycle of life. So, a person who understanding this is Vedanta. Vedanta makes you understand your real nature is true happiness. You can never find it in a false world. How can you find infinite happiness in a finite world? How can you find permanent joy in an impermanent changing world? How can you find permanence in this realm of death? It's not possible. In fact, this is constant sorrow. As long as you have desires, you're in sorrow. So having abandoned the body means having realized the self. Such a person alone has no use for the body. Till you have desires, you need the body. You won't be born again. See, these are direct. He is not born again. Na punah janma. He comes to me, means he becomes one with the self. Me, a realized soul uses me, aham, mam, to mean Atman, consciousness, God, the self. He comes to the self, he merges with the self, he becomes the self. Arjuna, he's not born again. So this is the cycle of life. You are the self, you have separated. Now you have to merge back. And why you have to merge back? Because you'll be miserable if you don't. Not now, for lives. It's the same problem. But you don't understand. You just don't understand the need for this. That's the tragedy. You don't understand everything you have is so fragile. So fragile. Maya gar se kanchi. It's just like clay. Kaya gar, this body, this world. See, I was sitting in a discussion, we were having a casual conversation a couple of weeks ago. There's some couple of students, and we were talking about people they know, we know, and what they are going through. One person's child is a cancer, one person is some disease, some finance, some addiction, some this, some that, some legal trouble. It's people you know, all around you. And all of you are complacent because you believe it can't happen to you. Till it does. It will. It's just a question of time. It's not if, it's when. So, first of all, you're in sorrow, and whatever little peace you have can be taken away anytime. And you're still, how are you? This weekend we are going here. Next year we are planning this. So you don't understand. In true light, tattvataha, in essence, in trueness, in reality, that word, it's a beautiful word, tattva, means the essence. You don't understand the essence of life. That you have been given this finite time only to realize the self. And you're doing everything else except that. The gods can't change you. Nobody can change you except yourself. He comes to me, O Arjuna. Hmm. 10.
वीतरागभयक्रोधाः मन्मया मामुपाश्रिताः बहवो ज्ञानतपसा भूता मद्भावमागताः.
Freed from desire, fear and anger. Vita raga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashrita. Absorbed and taking refuge in me. Again, me means the self. The devotional need a form. But intellectually you understand. The realized soul saying me doesn't refer to his physical form. Refers to what they have realized. Purified by the fire of knowledge, many have attained my being. Now, this should give you confidence. This last part of the verse, which I quote quite often. Bahavo jnana tapasa, puta mad bhava magata. Bahavo. So, what he's saying is, many have realized the self. So, it's not out of reach. But what do you need? Purified by the fire of knowledge. Now make a note. The whole thing starts only when you gain knowledge. Because only when you understand that happiness lies in the self, not in the world, will you pursue the self. So it is only knowledge of the higher which can liberate you from this cycle of desire and birth. It's not possible otherwise. So he says, what's your problem? I am only continuing the tradition. Many before me have attained my state. Many after me will. It's attainable by any human being. All you have to do is gain the knowledge, remove the desires. Simple, no? Gain the knowledge, remove the desire, you're enlightened. Actually, that's what it is. So the more you understand, the more you will understand the necessity of going there. So it's just a expression of how much knowledge you have, your determination. See, a person is in a slum. The more he understands that only education will get him a better job and a way out of the slum, the more he'll want to educate himself, right? Assuming that's the only way. He's stuck in a slum and he understands the only way I can get out of this is by gaining education. Then I can go to a higher place. So just gain the knowledge. The more you understand what the self is and how futile this world is, the more you'll want to get out of it. So if you say, I'm not interested, any teacher will understand you don't have the knowledge. You're not interested. So he'll say, be where you are. It's okay. Everybody has their own time. So, freed from desire, fear and anger, absorbed in me. See, now this is what you must understand. The more you gain spiritual knowledge means the more you are absorbed in the self. You gain a far superior level, quality of happiness. Therefore, you become free from desire of the world. See, they don't explain it, so you see one half and you say, my God, what is this? How can you live without desire, fear, anger? You don't understand the other part, absorbed in me. So the more absorbed in the self, the superior the bliss within. Shamanantar yatha manaha. There is no happiness like the happiness within, says the Upanishads. So obviously you don't need. So it's a positive state of higher bliss, not a negative state of giving up desire. That is automatic. So you must understand that when you try and read these verses. Otherwise, it seems negative. It's not. So I'll continue next time when we meet. If you have any questions, send them and we can take them up on Wednesday. Hari Om.
Thank you.